Greetings, franchise lovers. Hito of Hito Music and Media here with a franchise theory pawn, bringing to you the theory of the Tetraforce from the Legend of Zelda franchise. Now get out your Historias because this one's going to be a doozy. So the Tetraforce, theoretically named for its four-part Triforce, is a theory that originates from the Ocarina of Time graphic for the Hylian shield. Now, this design debuts the full Triforce at the top of the shield, and it hovers above the loft wing, or what we can presume to be the loft wing, as it used to be theorized to be a phoenix, but now we've got the loft wings, and it looks exactly like one. And below that we have a fourth mysterious triangle that fits directly into the center of the Triforce. So well, in fact, that that the fans raved and theorized about it heavily enough to get Nintendo to outright tell us there is no Tetraforce, we're full of crap, and we need to dream on. Because there's no fourth Tetraforce, there's no Tetraforce, there's no fourth Triforce. Rest assured, though, there is a fourth triangle. But we'll get into that later. First, let's go into the Tetraforce, shall we? Now, the support for the theory comes mostly from the fact that there's a fourth triangle and a hole in the middle of the Triforce. But there's also the fact that Zelda's alternative name in Wind Waker is Tetra, or the fact that she's the fourth goddess mentioned, besides the goddess of time, who people theorize is Zelda, or Hylia. They also theorize that then again, though, there's also context that said that could be Neru, or is Neru. Some people are more definite than others about it, and I haven't seen it myself, because I haven't played every game in the franchise, just letting you know that. But anyway, moving on a little further in this theory. They theorize that if Zelda is the fourth goddess who has created a Triforce, she would have given it to or somehow it ended up in the hands of Giram or Vaati. While Vaati does make sense, not for the reasons proposed. They only theorize that Vaati has it because he's purple, and the fourth color would be purple. Where do we get purple? Simple. In Four Swords, you have red for Din, blue for Neru, green for Farer, and purple for who? Hylia? Well, it does usually seem to go that way. Anything involving Neru is blue, anything involving Din is red, and anything involving Farer is green. So why not Hylia and purple? I mean, Zelda's always wearing pink or purple. At the very least, white. A bright color. But she's usually depicted wearing purple or something along those lines. So, since she's usually depicted wearing purple or pink, Vaati is proposed to have the fourth Triforce. I know, ridiculous, right? They also theorize the same way for Fierce Deity. However, the reasoning for Fierce Deity is usually a little more intricate than that, involving the fact that he has a triangle on his chest, and that maybe he had the full Tetraforce, and used to be looking just like Link until he got corrupt by the full Triforce or Tetraforce, turning into a demon and being sealed away by Hylia, or the goddess of time, into that mask. This is a flawed theory, though, because even if that was the Link of that dimension, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You can make arguments for all of my arguments against it, though. For example, whereas Zelda's doppelganger, since Link's looks exactly the same as him, telling us that even the three holders of the Triforce don't go against the rule of like-looking doppelgangers in Termina. Well, Ganondorf doesn't even have one, but I guess he doesn't have to show up. Zelda's is the goddess of time, theoretically, and she doesn't necessarily have to show up. Even though she does, she actually takes action, but she doesn't have to show up physically. I mean, she could just be like she could just be doing the whole I'm invisible and everywhere kind of goddess thing. It's a very common thing for gods and goddesses to do. So most of my arguments for that are debunked, but not my main one, which I'll get into in a minute. The Girim argument is stupid. Just, if Girim, a sword spirit, had it, the sword spirit of demise, he would give it to demise, so that's stupid. The same argument could be had for what's her name? For Fi. Now, why is it stupid that Girim would have it? Simple. If he had it, he gives it to demise, and then demise, since he can usually take Zelda and Link with just one Triforce, with two Triforces, he'd theoretically be unstoppable, right? So then, he would have won by now. Fi would make Link and Zelda completely unstoppable to him, and there would never be a conflict. So again, no. Because they have conflict, which means they don't have the power to stop him because they keep looking for power. So that can't be right. Alright, so then who could have it? Impa is also a common theory, but once again, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, even though her arguments usually are pretty decent. I mean, her shadow crest is an upside-down triangle with 3 dots that symbolize that it could be the 4th piece, with the other 3 pieces not there. She's purple, and she's close to Zelda, which gives her every reason to have been given it. But why would she not use it when they need it? So, nope. But it couldn't be Zelda anyway, because, see, the thing is, the explanation from Ocarina of Time says that, in the little animation, the goddesses basically came up to a rock, gave it life, put the Triforce on it, and ran off. That was Zelda's explanation of it. Furthermore, we are explained to by Zelda in the past in what do you call it? Skyward Sword, that the goddesses gave Hylia personally the Triforce for the Hylian people to keep order on the land. Then they ran off. Demise tried to get it for his own purposes and caused a war, which in turn made Hylia resort to fleeing into the sky until her plan could be executed, which is shown at the end of this book here. Later on, we find out. Later on, if you follow the timeline in here, you'll find out that at the end of Skyward Sword, her plan succeeds, and the Hylians get to establish a kingdom on the ground. Yay! Along with that awesomeness, time passes by, the kingdom has been established, and a race called the Peakeri descend from the heavens, according to the Minish Cap game, bringing along with them a golden light called the Light Force, which is depicted as a triangle, very much like the Triforce. As well as that, they bring the Pickery Blade, and the hero of legend uses the combination of the two to conquer the demons plaguing the land, which, if we recall, were never tamed at the end of Skyward Sword. Then the hero of legend goes off with these. Once he seals these demons into a box, the box and the Pickery Blade are then put on display in future generations during something called the Sword Festival, where the Pickery Blade is shown to honor the hero of legend. It is the only time you can see it, and that is why Vaati later on is explained to have entered the Sword Festival, competed in the competition, and as soon as the Pickery Blade was exposed, he shattered it, opening the box. Why did he do that? He was looking for the Light Force, which was not in the box, and he unleashed demons everywhere. Frustrated, he took over the king's people and put a spell on Zelda to put her in stone. Link goes off looking for the four elements, which Vaati eventually figures out that's the only way to find out where the Light Force is. So he lets Link do his thing. Link, having gathered the four elements, is about to restore the Pickery Blade when Vaati takes them from him and finds out that Zelda's holding the Light Force the whole time. So, somewhere between Minish Cap and Force Sword, the Pickery Blade becomes the Force Sword, and Zelda's taken out of stone, and Vaati kidnaps her and tries to steal the Light Force from her. But the process is at some point interrupted, and after Link fights Vaati, Zelda uses the Light Force to seal Vaati, or Vaati's Wrath as he has now become, into another world. Or into the Sacred Realm, I think. I'm not particularly sure. Then, it's not really... then Ocarina of Time occurs, where we find out... or where we find the Hylian Shield, and the Triforce makes its appearance with the Master Sword once again. And the same thing that happened to the Light Force happens, except for Ganondorf doesn't get to keep the Triforce like Vaati did get to keep his portion of the Light Force. So, but a wish is made just like before. Later on, though, past Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess, we find Four Sword Adventure, where Ganondorf releases Vaati, and Link has to use the Four Sword once again to conquer Vaati, and Dark Link from the Shadow Mirror or whatever, or whatnot. We find out that through this long process that at the end of this game, Zelda has 4 triangles. Now, if we recall correctly, between Minish Cap and Ocarina of Time, the Light Force is both given to the Hylian royal family as the Triforce is, and given and kept safe by them. Then it is eventually drained by Vaati, but the Triforce is not. This could explain why, one, the order of events is displayed on the Hylian shield, that being the Triforce, or the era of the goddess, then the era of the Loft Wings, or whatever, and then the era of the Light Force. and the fact that it has fallen, hence the fact that it's upside down. Finally, in Four Swords Adventure, it explains in this book here that the light force is still plentiful in those times, which means somehow the light force survived from Minish Cap all the way to the end of the child timeline, and to the point where at the end of the game in Adventure we find Zelda using all four triangles to combat the enemy. So yeah, that fourth triangle has to be the light force. It only makes sense. If you like my theory, please comment and tell me what other theories you'd like me to prove, disprove, or logic through. This has been a franchise theory pawn theory. This has been a franchise theory pawn franchise theory. That's quite a mouthful. Franchise theory pawn franchise theory. Anyway, this has been a 16 to 17 minute theory with franchise theory pawn. Like, comment, and subscribe.